minority group in the world. We're only a small fraction of the population of the earth. Everyone wants everything done by another group of people. We spend most of our time, you know, rapping on about what the government should do. Forget the government. It's got a job on its hand anyway, just making the country work. It's what we should do. You know, all I know is when I came back from Bangladesh, I kept thinking, even...
So you're saying you're leaving it up to the people to do?
Us. Not just the people, you, me.
That's what I'm saying, to actually make this system work of there be no hunger, no homeless, and that the government has nothing to do with it.
You'd have to get compassion in your heart, but not people. So you use a phrase, I've given up using phrases like the people, the government. It's got to be individuals. Our society is made up of every single one of you. And you know what? You've heard this before, every single one of is unique. Every single one of you has something to offer. The trouble is that a lot of people go around thinking, what can I do? It doesn't matter. If all you've got is 10p and you put 1p in, it's 10% of what you've got. That's all it takes. It doesn't matter about the size of the problem. What we've got to do is make it itch and scratch it.
It's a drop in the bucket, I can hear you say. But the bucket gets wetter, and we're gonna fill it one day, someday.
I've just come back from Uganda. There is real poverty. There is where real help is needed. Here, it's not needed, because even you're out of work, you get something for nothing. And one little kid there in one of those breaks, when I remember saying something like that, and he said, yeah, well, we're used to it, aren't we? It's what we're used to, it's our rights. And I thought, oh, no, I wish we'd got that on the screen, because I wanted to say to him, but it's not our rights. If we get it, we should be saying, aren't we lucky not to be in Uganda and dying within the next year or two if we don't work? Because you don't work, you don't eat. There is nothing, no governmental help at all. And instead of being a grateful nation, we're getting less grateful.
If God created the world and everything in it, why did he create sickness and diseases?
I've often found that the hardest area. Any kind of suffering, you think, well, I don't understand this. Why is it there in the first place? Other than, you see, what we're told is that when God created the world, it was perfect. There obviously wasn't any sickness and disease when those first people were wandering about. They lived to unbelievable ages. Now, I don't know whether you believe that. I tend to believe it. I tend to think to myself that when they talk about people being hundreds of years old, it was probably because there was no sickness and disease around. On the whole, you can trace most of the problems of the world back to how we do or don't do things. We bring things upon ourselves. A lot of diseases we have no control over, and therefore I have no answer. I don't know. Other than all I know is that God can't be blamed for not loving, because his love has been constant. The one thing I learned from missionaries when I went abroad was that they always said this one phrase, they nearly always said it. They said, we believe we're here because God wants us here. You know, there's only one way of God showing his love on this earth, and that's through people. I don't know the answer to why there's cancer. I don't know the answer to why there is AIDS. All I know is that there probably will be an answer somewhere, but I'm not sure I'll find it in my lifetime.
Do you think it's fair to attribute everything good to God and everything bad to humanity?
No, it's not fair, but it's, I think, well, yes, it is fair to an extent, because unless we're being really silly, we would recognize that it's the imperfection in mankind that creates what we are. I would say, though, and maybe I should have mentioned it earlier, it's not so much, it's too easy to blame humanity. Definitely, all that is good does come from God. But you see, we haven't talked today about the devil. Now, I don't know what you think about the devil. I personally believe in him just as much as I believe in God. I have just as much faith that the devil exists as I do that God exists. And the one thing I know for certain is that he wants to destroy all of us. It doesn't matter how he does it. It doesn't matter whether he does it through relationships or politics or falling off the edge of a cliff or through cancer or disease. His job, his being by definition is the destroyer. He wants to destroy us completely. And so therefore, sometimes though, it sort of oversimplifies it and it can be seen as a cop-out if I merely say, oh, well, it's the devil does it. I think it's far more fair of me to say, because I'm appealing to the intellectual in all of you, that if you break it down, it is us. You can usually find that there's been humanity at fault. It's done the wrong thing at the wrong time, and there's a repercussion in our universe.
In a free society, would you say it's wrong for people to dabble in the occult?
Yeah, again, I sit before you as a Christian who feels that the occult is a very, very dangerous area. Again, of course I'm biased. I believe that God only wants our best, or only wants the best for us. So that if the Bible indicates, as it does, that dabbling in the occult is wrong, I think we should treat it with a great deal of respect. I say that because some years back I would perhaps have not been quite as forceful about it, but a friend of mine used to work amongst young people who had dabbled with the occult. And he said it wasn't that they were just sometimes mentally disturbed. I don't mean mad, but hurt. He said, but sometimes physically. Some people will go around saying, you know, you'll argue about the devil, and they'll say, well, we don't really believe in the devil, and yet they might be having a Ouija board. There is definitely a supernatural area that is evil and bad and can do us no good whatsoever. So I would only say to people, yeah, I think it's a very, very dangerous area. And besides, why get involved with the occult, which tends to lean towards the evil side of the supernatural life, when we're so easily prepared to get rid of the good? I mean, I would have thought if there's a choice between God and the occult, dabbling in the occult, which is devil and stuff, I'd go to God.
Now in the front here.
You were saying earlier that about like sickness and disease. Well, I was wondering how you can say that evil can generate from nowhere, because if God created everything equally, then evil can't generate from nothing. And if God's all-powerful and all-loving, then he wouldn't want the pain and suffering in the world. So how do you compensate that argument?
You see, again, you're making assumptions about God, which is, I find amazing. I mean, I don't know any of you, so I don't know whether you believe in a God or what you think of him. All I know is that by definition, capital G-O-D means all-loving, omniscient, omnipotent, or just, or fair, or everything. If there's something you can't see there, it's because we are finite, he is infinite, and therefore we are missing something. It's very difficult to think that something we can't touch, i.e. the devil, somebody we've probably not heard or felt, can actually be the source of evil. And yet, without evil, you can't recognize good. Without good, you can't recognize evil. Being able to recognize is part of why we are perfect. If we recognize evil and go in the way of evil, it's the freedom we have. If we're prepared to accept the consequences of going in that direction, it's bravery too, as far as I'm concerned. There's no way I would go in that direction, knowing what I know. And so therefore, if you and I can understand that, if you can feel compassion for the diseased, how much more must God be aching? And of course, we've got to come back to Jesus.
Many Eastern religions have far more spiritual and moral beliefs than in Christianity. What's attracted you to Christianity, and would you ever change your religion?
Well, I mean, first of all, I think I would disagree with you. In essence, Christianity is as moral and right and truthful and just as any other religion wants to be or can be. But Gandhi said it right. He said the worst thing about Christianity is Christians. It's we that muck it up. It's not Christianity that's immoral. Do you know, the morality of Christianity is so strong that what Jesus said to people were, if you walk past something and you want it, you're as guilty of stealing it without ever having touched it. If you walk past someone's wife and you want to go to bed with her, you're guilty of adultery, even though you say, no, I'm not going to do it, and you're off. That's how moral it is. And I would therefore just take umbrage with your question, because I don't believe that there is any religion any more moral or any more right or truthful or just than Christianity. You ask me why I'm attracted to Christianity? You know what Jesus said? How dare he if it's not true? He said, I am the way, I am the truth, I am the life, and no man will ever come to the Father except he comes through me. That's why I took to Jesus, because I thought, well, there's no other religion saying this to me. I therefore believed him and was drawn to Christianity, as opposed to being drawn to any other Eastern philosophy or religion.
If you can't respect other religions, or I can see you can respect them, if you can't see them as equal to Christianity, isn't that almost not believing Christianity?
Well, supposing I came here today and I said, well, of course, Christianity is all right, but Buddhism's quite good, and boy, Islam, you know, Muslims are good, and Jehovah's Witnesses is fabulous, Mormon, perfect. I mean, all you've got is a confused world. For instance, if you said to me, I am going to become a Muslim, you know, I'm going to worship Islam tomorrow, what could I do to stop you? I would have to respect your intellect and you as a person and say, fine, if that's what you want. But I'd expect you, when we argued, to at least believe that what you were doing was superior to what I have. And I think it would be really stupid, and I wouldn't be able to answer any of your questions unless I believed that. If I thought for one instant that there was an inkling of a chance that something else was right, I'm afraid I would be there like a shot.
Now, here's a question from Andrea that I've never heard anyone ask you before. Where's Andrea?
Do you believe in angels? And if so, have they ever helped you?
Do I believe in angels? Well, I believe in angels because Jesus did. But the trouble with the term angel is so emotive, isn't it? I'm not aware of people with wings flapping around me. I am aware that over the years I have felt helped, not in a silly, trite manner, but sometimes in quite dramatic ways, but not in manifestations, you know. So I'm aware of some spirituality that is part of my life and that I trust and lean on regularly.